After watching Jonas Vingegaard use a 1x group set at the Tour de France, and just about every Jumbo Visma used one at the World Champs, you might be wondering if single chainrings are the future. They, after all, work very well on gravel and mountain bikes. And that's why I've recently switched my own bike, an Alley Sprint, to run a 1x group set to see if it does indeed work in the real world. This is 1x versus
common sense.
Oh, you're back.
And the past with 2x. And I think it's better for many, many reasons, but mainly because of the small gaps in the gears, and also because, well, we've had it for ages and it's been, well, better for ages. First of all, Jamie, I think that my 2x setup is better than yours because of the range of gears. I know it has a better range of gears, and I think that that's definitely useful. Yeah,
you know it does.
I know. Whatever you can put on that, mine will have a better range of gears with a 2x setup.
Yeah, but
and
it doesn't. Does it?
And also,
it doesn't.
And also, the gaps between the gears at the back are much smaller on mine, and therefore you can fine-tune your cadence, which I definitely think is good in a racing sense, and it is very nice on the road as well.
They might be slightly smaller jumps, but you've got 22 gears there. If you had a 12-speed group set, then you would
11,
have 24. Quick maths.
Quick maths.
But the overlap between them, you've only actually got 17 usable gears.
Is that true?
Yeah, chew on that one. Well, I don't know if it's 17. It's around that.
Oh, you've just made it up then.
No,
I'll make something up. I've actually got 65 gears on this bike.
But you do have a big overlap, so your little ring and little cog at the back, if you're cross-chaining...
Oh, I'm not going to cross... Well, I don't cross-chain.
Well, exactly, so you can't use half your gears anyway.
I'm a pro.
So, there we go. Video's over. 1x is better than 2x.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you for watching.
We'll see you in the next
Goodbye.
one. For as long as I've been cycling, 2x has been the go-to for every single cyclist, you know, pros or amateurs. And I'm sitting here wondering, or I'm crouching here wondering, actually, what's wrong with it? Do we have to go to 1x? And are the big companies like SRAM doing this as a marketing stunt to try and sell more products? They give it to the pros and then we try and copy them. 1x isn't all bad. I'm not a complete idiot and I do obviously see its upsides, but I just don't believe that it's going to convince me to change my whole setup to 1x. I don't think that is where the bike industry is going to be going. So that's why Jamie and I are now going to go on a ride. It's going to have a few hills, a few descents, and we're actually going to test these two group sets to see which one is going to come out on top.
So then, we're out on the road and you haven't dropped me yet.
No, I haven't dropped you yet, even up that little climb and that descent.
Well, it would seem like I've got enough gears, and that is because I've actually got absolutely loads of gears. Well, 12 to be precise. But I promise you, I've got as much range as you have from yours. So my current setup is a 48 tooth ring at the front, and a 1036 tooth cassette at the back. So a 4810 gives me the equivalent of about a 52 point something front chainring if I had an 11 tooth cog at the back, which we've been getting along with fine for absolutely ages. If you're a pro in a race, you might want something bigger chainring, 53, 54 or something like that.
I'm pretty sure mine's a 52.
But yeah, for everyday riding, 52 is more than enough combined with 11. So I've certainly got enough top end. And then on the climbs, that 4836 is the equivalent of about a 36 inner tooth ring and a 28 on the back. So a semi-compact everyday group set.
The only thing I would say, which we did speak about earlier, is the fact that if you were then to put 2x on your setup now, you'd have even more gears.
Yes, obviously if I put a 2x group set on now with that massive 1036 cassette, then, well, I'd probably add too many gears. I don't need that many.
No, but you would have even more gears. So range-wise, I suppose you've got the same, well, near enough the same as me now, but you could make it even more with a 2x setup.
Yeah, you could have more.
Thus making 2x even better.
And then obviously the main reason that I went for this 48 is because that's the smallest size aero ring that they do, and I think it looks bloody cool.
It does look very cool. I completely agree. The aero front chain ring does look very, very cool and much better than a 2x. It does.
And therefore, it's the future. Okay.
If you're looking good, you're going fast.
Exactly. In my opinion,
Yeah.
there are distinct advantages.
Yeah.
So, it's a little bit lighter. Admittedly, not a lot because you've got to have a bigger rig set.
You just said distinct advantages. It's a little bit lighter, admittedly, not a lot. That's not a distinct advantage.
Some of them are more distinct than others, okay?
I'll be quiet. You can.
It's also a little bit more aero.
Yeah.
Again, a marginal gain, but we talked to Xavier Disley, who is a bit of an aero guru.
Yeah.
And he's had them in the wind tunnel, and it's a few watts. Admittedly, it gets smaller if you use a chain catcher. Chain retention, I think, on a 1x group set is better. Now, Roglic didn't do it many favours when it came off in the Giro.
Yeah.
But you have this narrow wide chain ring, and it obviously doesn't have any shifting ramps or anything like that. So yeah, it should be better at retaining a chain, especially if you've got a chain catcher like this one. This one's from Wolftooth. Thirdly, and I think this one is probably the biggest advantage, is it's just so much simpler. You take away some moving parts. It's A, one less thing to go wrong, B, one less thing to maintain and clean. It looks cleaner. And I've also been talking to some of SRAM's engineers. They're obviously the main player. They say that it's more efficient than a 2x group set that is cross-chaining, which I completely agree with.
Yeah.
Because this big ring, my single chain ring, is in the centre of where your two chain rings are.
Yeah.
Oh. Attack! What? Attack him! I've got a gap. That doesn't mean I can hold it, but I think that is an advantage of 1x. If you can...
That wasn't very nice. Oh.
Yeah, I'm a bit knackered, to be honest.
I'd only go and change my chain ring and off you go.
Well, that is what Vingegaard said gave him an edge over Pogacar in the Tour. On one of the stages where he used 1x and he attacked Pogacar as he changed to little ring. And it's those sorts of marginal gains that teams like Jumbo-Visma are looking for.
And as you can hear by our breathing, we're of a similar fitness standard to these kind of guys.
Not very high.
It's winter. We're allowed to be slow.
Okay, we've got descent coming up, so we'll see if Tom really can make me spin out. What do you reckon, Tom? Biggest gear?
I'm in my biggest gear, Jamie.
I'm in my biggest gear. How does your cadence compare to mine?
It's exactly the same.
I think my legs are going around slower.
Wow. I mean, I'm not a cadence sensor, so it's hard to judge.
Have I convinced you yet?
As I said earlier on in the video, I'm not a complete idiot, and I do see.
Yeah, but
I do see there are plus points to 1x for sure, and it is a great setup that you've got going on there. I just don't think that 1x setup can be suitable for all terrains going around, and a 2x setup you can have a wider range of gears and finer gear jumps between the gears, and it is useful for people, for cyclists, for eddy cyclists. That is a benefit. But if you have a specific bike that you want to set up for a specific terrain, whether that be a race or a hilly sportive or even just a flat commute, 1x, I do agree, is much better.
better?
Better than 2x.
Wow.
I would say so.
There we go, easy convert.
In my opinion.
Right then, let's go back to the studio.
Thankfully, I'm back in the warm, and after a solid month or so of riding with the 1x group set, I think that I've managed to convince even Tom that it is a viable option for most road rides. But is it the future? Well, personally, I think that 1x will get a lot more popular on the road, but I don't think it's the next disc brakes where it's going to completely replace the old tech in just a few years. I'm confident that we will continue to be able to purchase 2x in the coming years if that better suits your riding. This is a question that I put to SRAM. It's no secret that they're big fans of the single chainring, but do they see it as taking over the world? This is how JP McCarthy, SRAM's product manager, responded. In its current forms, I reckon we'll see a modest increase of one-by usage on pavement for A, World Tour and those who aspire to be World Tour for specific cases, i.e. time trials, uphill time trials, relatively flat races, etc. And World Tour teams have found advantages in a wide range of one-by setups to meet and exceed their performance needs. We expect to see more. And B, more towards the middle of the consumer market, we anticipate seeing more endurance, all-road and all-rounder bikes spec'd with one-by as original equipment. He finished by saying, we certainly don't see one-by eclipsing two-by on road bikes, but one-by is increasingly popular amongst road riders for a wide range of reasons, from course-specific performance advantages to simpler shifting and aesthetics. After using one-by for several hundred miles now, I'm sold on the benefits. For general riding, I'm loving the simplicity and the range is more than enough. In fact, it matches my two-by setup that I was running previously. Me and Tom are pretty keen riders, but is one-by a sensible option for cyclists who ride less regularly? Well, the other day my mum borrowed a bike with one-by on it and asked why aren't all bikes like this? My mum, bless her, is someone who is yet to understand that a bike is not meant to rattle or squeak, and when it does, you should probably change gear and not cross-chain. With one-by, it is quite literally impossible to cross-chain, and in this situation is actually more efficient than a two-by setup. So, there are clearly benefits to a single chainring, whether you're a professional racer, a keen amateur, or a less experienced cyclist. I have one more question for SRAM. Would my drivetrain wear faster when using a single chainring? McCarthy responded that there's no difference between one-by and two-by chain and cassette wear, but was unable to give a mileage figure because debris is a greater contributor to chain wear than miles. Just another reminder for me to go and clean my chain when I get home. Out on the road, the jumps between the gears are a little bit larger, and that is undeniably a disadvantage. On most rides, I didn't notice and could find a natural and comfortable cadence, but if I was racing on this bike, then I'd definitely opt for a smaller cassette to close up those gaps at the expense of some range. This is something that Jumbo Visma, who have been using a one-by system over the last year, know all too well. When pressed on the matter, they said this: in the world of professional cycling, every small adjustment can be crucial for performance. We recently decided to switch to a one-by setup, a decision driven by multiple considerations. Firstly, there's aerodynamics. By removing the front derailleur and using an aero one-by chainring, our bike cuts through the wind more efficiently. Then there's the weight advantage. Eliminating the front derailleur and double chainring means less weight to carry, which is always a bonus, especially on climbs. But it's not just about what we remove, it's about what we add. By opting for a larger cassette at the rear, we can fit a chainring that's big enough for flat terrain, yet small enough to be effective on climbs. This approach means we often ride in a big gear setting, which is more efficient than the small combination. He did note that with the one-by setup, they have fewer gear choices, but in practice, if the available gears are well matched to the rider's needs, the limited options are rarely missed. And let's not forget reliability. SRAM's front derailleurs are, in his words, top notch, but in a sport where every second and every risk counts, reducing the chance of mechanical problems by having fewer components is a tactical move. He said, in essence, by choosing a one-by setup, they optimize their performance by improving efficiency, weight, and reliability. Key factors in the race for success. Whether you're a pro, an amateur, or a beginner, we reckon that over the coming years, there'll be more and more bikes shipping with one-by group sets. Unlike with the transition to disc brakes, where there's now a seriously limited selection of new rim brake bikes, we do think that two-by will remain an option for a good while yet. And really, is that not the perfect scenario? Because what's better than having choice? Even Tom will find it hard to deny that there's not a time and a place for single chainrings. And we are now at a point when it's a very real option for road bikes. In reality, one-by is not the perfect solution to road bike gearing, but then neither is a double chainring. On that setup, you're lugging around 6 or so gears which aren't even useful to you. At least with one-by, every gear on the cassette is useful. Let us know in the comment section below whether you're intrigued to make the switch on your next bike. If you like this kind of content, then give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel for more messing about on bikes. We'll see you next time.
A little bit more, a few watts. Oh, but literally nobody gives a shit about that kind of stuff.
I think some of our audience do. I do.